Physical health. What does the church teach about physical health? Is it good to be sick or is it good to be healthy? Well, this is what the church teaches. The church teaches that our first parents, Adam and Eve, who were at the origin of the human race, were consecrated in an original state of holiness and justice. This grace of original holiness was to share in divine life. By the radiance of this grace, all dimensions of man's life were confirmed. As long as man remained in the divine intimacy, man would not have to suffer or die. It's interesting. The church teaches that illness and death does not come from God. It's not part of his plan. So where does it come from? Well, the church will answer that shortly. Illness in human life. Illness and suffering have always been among the gravest problems confronted in human life. In illness, man experiences his powerlessness, his limitations, and his finitude. Every illness can make us glimpse death. Illness can lead to anguish, self-absorption, sometimes even despair and revolt against God. It can also make a person more mature, helping him discern in his life what is not essential so that he can turn towards that which is. Very often, illness provokes a search for God and return to him. Now, there might be benefits to illness. That's what the church is saying. But still, the goal is to be healthy, not to be sick. The church wrote a document in the year 2000 on this man's longing for happiness. It was an instruction on healing, prayer for healing. And this is the very first words of that instruction. It says, the longing for happiness, deeply rooted in the human heart, has always been accompanied by a desire to be freed from illness and to be able to understand the meaning of sickness when it is experienced. The recourse to prayer does not exclude, but encourages us to make use of helpful, natural ways to maintain and restore health. It encourages the church's sons to take care of the sick and provide them relief in body and in spirit, seeking to overcome the disease. Indeed, part of the plan laid out in God's providence is that we should fight strenuously against all sickness and carefully seek the blessings of good health so that he may fulfill his duty in society and the church. This is taken from the Roman ritual. So what is the link between ill health and sin? Well, the church teaches that the man of the Old Testament lives his sickness in the presence of God. It is before God that he laments his illness, and it is of God, master of life and death, that he implores healing. Illness becomes a way to conversion. God's forgiveness initiates the healing. It is the experience of Israel that illness is mysteriously linked to sin and evil, and that faithfulness to God, according to his law, restores life. Scripture says, "For I am the Lord, your healer." The prophet intuits that suffering can also have a redemptive meaning for the sins of others. Finally, Isaiah, the prophet, announces that God will usher in a time for Zion when he will pardon every offense and heal every sickness. That's the mission of Jesus.